could you bring Mrs. Shower a glass of water, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
Grab me one as well, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
You were
all good.
smart. You brought your own.
Yeah, you got them stacked up over there. Yeah, it's exciting. It's pretty cool. Just like I don't know. I feel like I'm learning so much.
Would you say that you're ambitious?
I think I would say I'm pretty ambitious. I think.
Where does that come from, do you think?
Maybe seeing how hard my mother worked, kind of in like a just mom household, and for growing up, she would be gone most of the day until like whenever the restaurant closed, she would come home, or just spending time, and even seeing her still now, how hard she works. So it's kind of just like I want to get to a place where I can have her not work like that as much anymore.
Yeah.
Because it is crazy, like, and I never really realized until later in life, like how much she really worked and how much she was kind of gone, and how much she must have went through to get me and my brother and my sister to where we're at now, And she put my sister through 6 years of college, no loans taken out, nothing. She set me up in a great position to be where I'm at now, and constantly helps out and tries to, keep me going in the right way. But I think for a little bit there, she was definitely a little nervous when I was in like 9th grade.
I remember that year.
And in middle school, just being crazy and hanging around a lot of some like just crazy crowds and just kind of losing myself, being bad, flunking school. But I think, I mean, as like I didn't have a father to like whoop me or anything, so like I didn't really, she would like, as her punishment, she would just be so disappointed and like sad. And I can't imagine honestly how much times I made her cry, which I don't even want to think about because that's terrible. But that's why honestly, I think that's where a lot of ambition comes from. Just trying to change that around and prove to her that like, one day I hopefully will be successful and stuff.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember that 9th grade year.
Yeah.
Louis was having the same 9th grade year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like we were on the same timing. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember talking to your mom.
Really? I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
Together being like, oh.
Seriously? I did not even know that. Wow, that's crazy.
Caught her on the road on Reedline Drive. Like, yeah, tough year.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, but I think everyone learned so much from that, and grew from that.
It's good to fall down early and figure it out and try to find your way. So super proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This lady, Amy, who has a little business across the street from the restaurant, she told me one time, she said, people are so quick to judge and all this and be like, oh, that person's going down the wrong path and this and that. But just because they, get sidetracked for a little bit, Antoine, I think you resonate with this, like, go through something that everyone might be like, oh, that's terrible what they're doing. They're being bad. They're doing drugs or dealing drugs, whatever they're doing, just because they're going down that path doesn't mean they're on the wrong path necessarily, They didn't make it to their destination yet. So that was kind of, that like opened my mind to just thinking, like no one's a lost soul or a lost cause. Just because they're on the wrong path doesn't mean they can't stop and go to the right path, because no one's ever really met their destination for real. So
yep, it's a little bit like our crossover. The word crossover kind of symbolizes that whole thing. You're going one direction and then you quick shift and go the other way, and it's symbolic of you're going one direction, maybe not the right way, you're not going to be successful that way, and you realize that you quick change, you can say it better than I can, you fake out your defender. And
I mean, I think the only part of that I would add to it would be the mere fact that everybody doesn't have the same window, and so you can be on a crash course faster than somebody else, right? And you think because you're young, you have more time. In reality, you don't have time. God has given everybody a different, set of window, a different set of terms or whatever, right? And you can miss your opportunity. So you can't really bank off, what somebody else has done or not done. Like you have to figure it out. And as soon as you figure it out, the better. think about, there's people that I've lost along the way, and it's like we didn't get the same opportunities. Like I walked away over and over again, and they didn't. They went to prison or got killed, and it's like, well, like what warnings? Because I think about myself, like what warnings was God giving me over and over and over again, and opportunities that I was overlooking, for whatever reason, and then I finally got it right, So those are my blessings, but I can't say that I would tell somebody like keep going through. Oh no, you'll be fine. Keep like you don't get an opportunity to keep walking away over and over again. So I just think figure it out, sooner the better, and take advantage of the people that God has put in front of you, and just sometimes just shut up and listen and respect the fact that you don't know everything, and the people that are giving you advice, no matter where they are in life, they've lived this thing longer than you have, and that was my biggest thing. I wanted advice from certain individuals and wouldn't take it from everybody. Like it would take that guy to tell me or that person to tell me because I had a certain level of respect, but those people weren't giving me the attention. So I needed to take the attention of the advice from the people that God had put in front of me, and I didn't do that early enough. So
I like how you described it better, because like you said, crash course. Like, I mean, I was on a crash course, and I mean, I could have got out of that a lot quicker and maybe been on a better path a lot earlier. Because it was like 3 years of me kind of being like a crazy child. But now that I think back on it, like you said, even some of the people that I was hearing this from, I was just like, "Oh, you're a guidance counselor. Why should I listen to you?" Or stuff like that.
I mean, when I look back at my life, man, like, man, I was angry and hurt and frustrated. And I don't really, in the time, like I never felt sorry for myself though, because I wasn't a unique case. Like I was, like there was multiple people around me, like going through the same stuff or worse, having the same type of, like living the same type of life, being in that same type of brokenness or, having lack of resources and stuff like that. So I wasn't alone in it. I just felt like for me personally, I felt like there was more to my life, but I also felt inadequate. And I was blessed to have a twin brother. Like he's like the complete opposite of me, like super confident, super outgoing, not easily broken. And so like for years, I just rode his coattail. Like I didn't even have my own identity. It was like he's the cool twin and I'm the not one. So I'm just like I'm riding his coattail. Whatever he does, I'm doing whatever he says. Like that's it. I don't talk at all. Like I'm like quiet and reserved and shy, like all of it. And like he's the complete opposite. So I was like, thank God, man, I really had him, because without him, I don't know what I would have done. Like he was like my protector, like, stand up for yourself and all of that type of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. Like, and so we did a lot of crazy stuff because it was his idea. And then when he went to prison, like that part of me left. And then that really forced me to begin to like find my own identity for the first time in life. And I felt lost because like when I was younger, I always had my dad, like do this, do that. And he would, give me a plan. And then my brother, he would just lead everything. And then for the first time in my life, it's like he's gone. Both my older siblings are incarcerated. And then I have two younger siblings. And like for the first time ever, like I'm supposed to be able to lead. And I never in my life thought that was going to be my role. And then I had to do it. And my mom, I'm grateful for her. Um, Though she was, but man, like I think I always say my dad, he taught me how to be a man early, but my mom truly allowed me to become one. Like she forced me out of my shell by putting all of the responsibility and the burden and saying those hard things that I thought were harsh. Like I probably still won't say that, but I still think that God always has a plan, and that's what really like brought that anger out of me to like I wanted to prove her so wrong. And then I just began to can kind of flourish in his absence and like find myself and really find my confidence and figure out like who I was for the first time, and not like trying to be everybody would always call us twins or the Twin Towers. And like for the first time I get to be me, Antoine. And so I'm just thankful for those type of experiences.
Antoine, has it been tough for you to like share, all this stuff with everyone, like just your upcoming, and it's definitely pretty rough and hard, but I mean, you overcame all that, and I mean, you're a shining star now. So
Well, I'm not, man. Honestly, I'm not. I'm not ashamed of my story at all. I'm grateful and I'm glad to share it because I feel like in my soul, like it is going to help somebody. Even if it's just one person. I know there's a lot of people in this world that have experienced what I've experienced and or even harder challenges. So I'm not exempt. The only thing that I have to always try to keep in mind, right, is that my truth can be somebody else's embarrassment, and I never want to bring shame to my family or make anybody feel belittled in my story. And so I always try to be careful about what I say, but also to tell my truth because that's the part that somebody's going to relate to. So, um, and my dad, he had custody of my twin brother and I from the ages of 4 to 11, and we lived with him, and he was an honor roll guy. He chastised us hard. We came home every day, and it was homework, an hour worth of reading or handwriting. We did our chores. We worked in the family business, and whatever time we had left, it was our playtime. We had to, uh, shower and eat dinner before 8 o'clock on school nights. Weekend was our playtime. We didn't get to play like all the other kids, and if we didn't finish up our stuff, whether it was business or homework, and we did it on the weekend. So, and that was supposed to be the time that we spent with my mom, but my mom during that period she was living down south in Fort Lauderdale area, so we didn't always get to spend time. So we kind of yearned for that time with my mom. But my dad, when I was 11 years old, my dad and like 9 other family members got busted for being a part of a major cocaine ring. They were all sentenced to 31 years to life in prison. And my whole foundation, just like in one day, it was just snatched from underneath my feet. And my dad was such a hands-on person, such a disciplinary, like he was so involved in my life. And we literally we had everything that anybody could possibly want. We would go on all of the trips. We never wanted for anything. In fact, we got more than anybody. And so when he went away, like all of that went with him. My mom didn't have the same resources. We had she had 5 kids, and we bounced around. We live in government assistance and stuff like that. My mom always gave her best, but I just think like the weighing from what my dad did versus what she did, it was those miles apart. And I was hard on her because she didn't have those resources. And just in hindsight, like I was a bad kid, man, and got into trouble. My grades fell, and just wasn't being responsible and missed school a lot. Learned how to sell drugs at the age of 13. I wanted to have my own money, and like in my mind, I'm helping and not realizing that at the same time I'm just hurting. Like she doesn't want me to go down this path. But I fell in love with the game of basketball, and at least that gave me the incentive to go to school, because without that, I probably would have dropped out a lot sooner. But I knew I had to have, the GPA and decent attendance and stay out of trouble. And even with all of that, like I found myself on and off the basketball team over and over again until my senior year, where we moved away to this town called Frostproof and made it on the team. And there was really a teacher that helped me there to begin to understand the significance, or how academics was going to play the most important role to wherever I wanted to go in my life, which was I wanted to play college basketball. But she helped. She was the person that cared and took the time. She went in and changed all my schedule. I'll never forget it. She changed all my schedule. I had all 7 periods with her. She had teachers to come in, give me, she didn't teach the subject. They came in and gave me the assignments and tested me, and did all of that. She came to all of my games, whether they were home or away. So she met me in my place, which was the basketball court, and she held me accountable. So I really held to the standard because I didn't want to let her down. But even with all of that, and we hadn't won. The school hadn't won more than 3 games in 3 consecutive years, and they hadn't gone to the state finals in the 23 years of the school's existence. So we were on our way before we learned that my brother and I were ineligible, and we had to forfeit every game. And that's when, kind of my life just began to kind of spiral out of control again. And me getting into things that, I shouldn't have got into, but, having some success, doing the wrong things and looking down the barrel of the gun on 6 different occasions and been shot at. I had my house broken into and moved out of that house, and another house broken into and stuff like that. And it was when I had my son that I like really, for the first time in my life, like I felt like I had a responsibility or a purpose and something like that. And right after that, like I ended up getting robbed by 3 men wearing ski masks. Robbed my cousin and I, just laid me down face flat, man. And I think that was an epiphany for me, and I use that analogy all the time. And sometimes we have to fall flat on our face because that's what it took for me to just be face down and be completely helpless and not being able to call anybody for help. Not having a weapon to defend myself, not being in a position to fight back, and the only thing I can do is think about all the people that I hurt. I hated my dad because I felt like if he would have been here, my life would have been different. And I'd have gone to college and I'd have had the support. And I always thought like he should have planned better for me. Um, and now I'm in a position, right? I had always held my son and told him I was going to always be there for him, take care of him, guide him, support him, never going to leave him like my dad left me. And it was a lie. Like I'm in a position where I'm going to die. I'm going to leave my son without a father just like I was. And I thought about the money and nobody knows where it is but me. And they're going to have to bury me. And I have life insurance. Nobody knows where my money is. I'm investing in all of them just materialistic junk. And they're gonna have to sell it just to be able to bury me, and I'm just feeling like a horrible person. And and God let me walk away from all of that. It changed my perspective about a lot of things, and it made me realize that I needed to go back and help kids like myself, that are wrongfully placing athletics ahead of academics, kids that are feeling sorry for themselves, blaming the world, taking their angers out and frustrations out on the world. I mean, it's apparent that you control your own fate, your own destiny, and you just need to figure out, how you're gonna, put out that type of energy you're gonna put out in the type of world. Your mentality is your reality. So I'm grateful to be able to walk away from that, and be able to do something different, and be able to find my purpose, and then be able to connect and collaborate with people that have the same vision and the same heart as I do, that are willing to help me on this mission.
You are strong as heck, man. Seriously.
Man, I don't even think it's strength, man. I just think it's will and determination. And I think like the biggest part of it is just being confident, right? Even when you're not confident, it's just being confident and trusting your instinct and being able to silence the world. Like I think, my whole life just worried about impressing people and trying to have a reputation, whether it's sports or like whether it's being tough or whether it's for making money or whatever it is, right? Even in this arena, like I felt like trying to sell drugs and stuff like that. Like it's not something that I just wanted to do. Like I was something I felt like I had to do in order to be able to provide. But in that, you have to put on a certain type of persona to protect yourself. So it's all about image, 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 image all the time. And there's rules that come with everything, no matter what pocket you're in. But I think the biggest thing for me was after I got robbed is just being able to silence the noise and say, like, who am I? What do I want to do? And like, what's more important to me? And what's more important to me is my kids and my mission and what I want to do. And to teach kids that a lot of the stuff that I grew up on was like BS, like all of these street principles and rules. Like if somebody robs you and you got to rob them back and you got to kill them and you got to do like you don't have to do any of this stuff, right? You get to decide, and like nobody else gets to put that pressure on you. So don't believe the hype. A lot of people that are making these rules, like they don't even live to that standard, right? They don't even hold themselves accountable to that same standard that they've set for you. So just being able to forgive, and like I'm blessed to have done a lot of stupid stuff because it made me capable to forgive. And growing up in church, like I began to realize, like when I got robbed, I'm like, yep, you done stupid stuff too. My house got broken too. Like, yep, you've done that stupid stuff too. So it's almost like, you put that energy out in the world is gonna come back to you. So I don't hold grudges about anything. I'm able to, to walk around and I forgive. I don't think about, like, oh, like I hate this person or I want to retaliate anymore. Like I just forgave everybody for everything that have ever happened. And I just wanna move forward because I care about my kids and helping kids, like me. And if I throw my life away retaliating for something, that's just me and one person. But if I can talk some kids off the ledge and help them to see life differently, then I feel like that's a win. So I've done too much wrong and too much negative to not spend the rest of my life trying to put out positive in the world and undo some of that crazy stuff that I've done. So
Yeah, I think you are doing exactly that too. I can't imagine how many people you've helped by just telling your story. And even if people Like, I mean, I can relate to that so much, even though I didn't do the same things. I was still just a troubled kid, but we both have different backgrounds,
Right.
but I can still relate to that. And you make me want to go out there and do something positive.
Well, I mean, I'm grateful. Like I always try to give props, to my partner here, for leadership that. But she's, I don't think people understand how much we disagree or bump heads or, how challenging just this work can be because it is. I mean, we're two totally different people, two totally different mindsets, two totally different approaches, and just agreeing every day to try to to move forward as a team, as a unit. And I think sometimes we choose to not work with certain people because we don't like certain things about them. But one of the things that I think that she's taught me is probably more than most is patience, because I'm not a patient person. I make my mind up just like that. Even today, like whether I'm doing it or not doing it, and then I'm stuck on that. And she's very patient. She's very understanding. She's very tolerant. She's very considerate. And so, although I admit it, I'm not always that way with her, but it channels downward, into the other facets of my life. And she probably doesn't get to see that version of me that other people get to see, but I've learned to be that way because, and because she's that way with me, and you don't even think about it in the moment. And so that's what I accept now, is that sometimes the result or the impact that we want to see, we may not get to witness it, but that's kind of like your legacy, or you being able to pay it forward, and somebody's going to carry on that tradition. And like I said, you may not ever see it, but it's there. So.
One day at a time, just more and more people. And like you said, you might not be able to see, but I mean, one day you might solve all of it.
Well, I think with kids too is like, I think for myself, everybody that at least that I come in contact, like everybody wants to make a difference. Everybody wants to help kids. We want to see that impact, that difference, like right away. Like we don't want to wait. We want to know that it's working. We want to know that we have a connection and relationship. Well, at the end of the day, we forget that these are just kids, right? Like they're just kids, and kids make dumb decisions just like we did. And the kids don't always see the future or the end, like we do. Like we know the hiccups and the potholes and all this, and we're trying to help them avoid it. And sometimes the kids just seemingly want to go through it, but like we have to remember, like, what did we do when we were kids? And as a coach and as somebody that training and spending a lot of time with the kids hands on, you experience heartbreak when kids choose to go a different route. That you feel in your mind is not in their best interest, and why can't they just listen, or why? But they get to decide, right? And ultimately, you're not the parent. And sometimes, even as a coach, I mean, coaching at a different school or a program or whatever, like kids choose other people over you, and that's heartbreaking. But everybody expects that you wouldn't have those feelings because you're a coach or you're an adult and so forth, or they're not your child. But you invest so much and pour so much into them in hopes that you'll get to be a part of their journey. But that's not always an option. So again, it teaches you patience and understanding and heartbreak and all of it, right? Like, I think you'll get your trials and tribulations or your tests along the way that's going to continually help shape you to be a better person, or you can decide to be bitter and angry. But you'll either way it go, you'll be tested over and over again.
Something I've noticed is looking back on it, how much even just small or large tests, that God throws at you. And even like just me changing some of the people I hung around, there was so much like just small stuff that was happening that was like God asking, are you really ready to, change yourself and be better as a person? And it's pretty crazy. It's a real thing when those like tests get thrown at you, because you sometimes you don't know how to answer. Sometimes you do want to be mad at the world, like, especially as a kid. You don't really truly know what's going on, and you don't know that that one small mistake could alter the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well, sometimes, so I look at that one twofold, because I do feel like, even with kids and as myself, my mom would tell me, right, like everybody's not your friend, and sometimes you're hanging up with the wrong people for the wrong reasons. But I think the other part of that, especially for me, is realizing that sometimes you're the problem. And me like having a younger brother and like wanting to like try to shield him from all of the things he was going like that I thought that he might experience and trying to make him, tough and like being so hard on him in extreme ways, you know, in the worst ways possible, just trying to make sure that he would be strong enough to not have to endure some of the things that I went through or feel like he's getting bullied and stuff like that. Like I feel like I made him a terrible person early on. And like, that is a reflection. Like when you want somebody to stop making the decisions that they're making and realizing that you're the one who's been pushing them to be this person. Now they're an extremist in this. Like that was the first indicator. But then also in like other facets of life, like I realized like me always wanting to chase money in the wrong way and wanting to elevate in that arena. Like I was trying to drag everybody else with me. And like I want this power team of people and everybody. I mean, they all are doing it. Like they want the same, but sometimes like you're the middle person that can, be the plug, so to speak, that can get the resources, right? And like if you would just move out of the way, then that would stop. And so for me, stopping and just falling back and taking a different direction in life, I think that allowed everybody else to kind of figure out, what direction that they wanted to go and what they wanted to do in life. And I don't want to claim anything, but I just realized, for me, from my perspective, me not selling drugs or stuff like that, like a lot of the things that I was tied to, it stopped too when I stopped. I have an older cousin that I looked up to so much, and I always, I mean, I admired the money that he made and all of the things. But when he went to prison, right, which I don't wish that for anybody, but I feel like that spared me from going to prison because he was who I aspired to be, and he was the person that could make the connections and give me the resources. So God shutting that down made me choose a different pathway. So sometimes you don't realize that indeed you're the key to it all. So I've been on both sides of it.
There's a book that I read. It's called The Midnight Library. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Heard of
No.
it at all? That like pretty much exactly what you explained. That reading that book helped me realize that a lot because there's a life where your older cousin, didn't get arrested, and you then went on to become
Right.
him, and then maybe there's life where you're in jail right now,
Yep.
and just like it's crazy because it all does fall into you, but there's so many different little roads that could have been taken,
Mm-hmm.
like even like I think we talked a little bit like if Louis and Antoine Jr. never played on the same basketball team, would you guys have ever met? Just small stuff like that. And I mean, it goes all the way back to when you were a kid, just left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn, and it just led us here, which
Yep.
is crazy. And I think once you allow God to be in your life and you try to become truthful and a better person to help people, I think it's just like, good karma. You put out what you get, you get what you put out. So
Yeah.
And then you get stagnant sometimes in life, right? Like you want to cling to people and cling on to things, and then you blame people for not following you on your journey, or right, not investing in the business or not seeing the vision. And like I always dream, like, oh, I'm gonna grow up with these people, and then this is who I'm gonna do things with, and who I'm gonna make money with. That's not God's plan. And then you get upset because you feel like, why don't they see it, or why aren't they investing? Why aren't they following through? Why aren't they doing all the things right? But that's not the way that you're gonna go in life. And so I always wanted to like be in a position where I can help people, or like have my team. We make money. Like you hear me keep saying it, but like I do have a team. It's just not the team that I envision. Right? I have, you know, I don't want to say employees, but you have 14 colleagues that I work with, through Crossover Mission, who rely on me and Kathy and I to do what we do in order to make the money that they make, right? To do the job that they love to do. So like I do have my team. It's just not the way I envision. I'm not doing the things that put me at risk or things that put me in jeopardy. And I have a legacy that that my kids can be proud of, and they can see their dad in a positive light, and they can understand the purpose or meaning of or significance of giving back. And like that's in addition to my, not only just my corporate network or my work relationship, but that's my family, and I get to see them and their kids and how they prosper. So it all plays out just in a different way.
gosh, you two are seriously superstars. For real. I mean, I aspire to do such great things like you guys. and just help the community. I bet that's been such a good feeling, is just helping you guys' local community, the place where you guys grew up.
Man, I do want to say thank you, for even having this idea, um, and to having us on the podcast. And if I could say anything to anybody that would be listening, especially if you're from my arena, this is like therapy. And I think like most people are not aware of, mental health. And most people are too tough or too embarrassed or, whatever it may be to talk and to get stuff out. But I've learned that that is has been the most therapeutic thing for me, is because I probably would have never sat down with anybody and just talked about my problems because I felt like it made me weak. But having to be in an arena where I have to share my story and feeling like I need to do this in order to be able to help crossover, get in a position where we can help people, has taken such a load off for me. So I really begin to realize that sometimes just talking to people and getting it out is so much better than just bottling it up, because you will literally self-destruct. And I think every time that I tell my story, as much as I hate to tell it, like it deflates that negative, want to attack the world type of energy that I have. And I think I'm as calm as I've ever been in life. I can take abuse. I can take negative comments that I used to want to. It just, I get angry in the moment, and then I can just bless and release, and I just walk away from it. So I've learned coping mechanisms that allows me to continue and move on. And again, and just thinking about the person I used to be, like I could have got myself killed, and I could have cared less. But so I'm thankful. So mental health, talking, finding your people, finding your safe space, and it's often better with people that you don't know. Right? If you don't know me, you don't know the people. Like, what's the odds you're going to talk about me? Whatever. I mean, I can share whatever I want to share with you, and you can go and talk about it in your world all you want to. But I mean, what's the odds that I'm going to hear it, and what's the odds that I'm probably going to even mingle with that circle of people that you're even? So I like to bless and release, man.
I don't know, man. You might be a celebrity after this podcast.
Well, I mean, if it benefits crossover, if it benefits, those that are running this podcast, I would love to see it. I mean, I think that would be something worthwhile for everybody. So yeah, I wouldn't see anything wrong with that. I hope opportunities do come from this podcast, and I hope that you have tremendous success, man, in all your endeavors moving forward. I think you have some great ideas.
Thank you so much, and seriously, I would want to. I mean, like literally tomorrow, if you guys need any help, seriously, I'd love to help out as much as I can with crossover. But I do hope one day to be, if it's a financial position or just in a position that has, a following, or just any position that literally help your guys' foundation, because what you guys do is so cool, and it makes me seriously want to just get up and drop everything and just go help someone, and I seriously think you talking about your story will help so many people, and just like I don't know, I wish everyone could hear your story and just see how much positive you got out from negative, from a negative. And I don't even know how to like word it properly, but is it really negative? I mean, because of all the positive stuff you've done now, and maybe without that negative side of like things that happen, would you be doing something so positive right now?
If you don't show mercy, then God won't show you mercy. Right? If you don't give grace, then God won't give you grace. So you and then you have to remember, like, whether it's positive or negative, right? Whatever energy you put out in the world, you don't get to control how that comes back. And and so, and even with you, I think you've already helped. I know Kathy talked about it already. What you've done for one of our students, and like that's one moment. But I think there's not too many things more valuable than having connections and relationships with people that can support you. So it may not be it may not be a big thing to you, but for me, like I'm always with kids. Like I'm
Yeah.
always with kids, and so just to be able to say, hey, I know the owner personally, right? Like, hey, we're coming over at this time and
Yeah.
we have a space, and, you know, to be made a priority. Like, I can't do that for every restaurant that I go in, right? So to know people that when I need a space and they know they're gonna hook us up and give us a discount or throw in some extras, especially when we're trying to foot the bill all the time to make it a positive experience. Like, those moments are priceless to me. So, you know, $100 tab or whatever, and somebody's like, oh, don't worry, give me 50%. Like, what? I'm
Yeah.
coming back here again next week. You've allowed me to do this 2 and 3 times now because, you know, you've taken that load off. Or to not say, you know, calling around like a lot of times, oh no, we can't accommodate 10 people. We can't, or you guys can't sit together, or you can't do this. And it's like, oh, to be able to call somebody and they just look out for you that way is, trust me, is tremendous. And who doesn't love pizza
Yeah.
and wings?
Yeah, we always got room for you guys.
Yeah.
So literally
Thank you.
anytime.
Thank you.
I just want to say again, thank you guys so much for coming on and, you know, sharing this experience with me and hopefully a lot of people, you know, and gosh, I just can't wait to see how much more good you guys do together.
Thank you. I'd like to add one last thought. The journey for me has been one of a lot of awareness, waking up to problems in the community that I didn't experience myself and would never have experienced had I not been sort of forced into it by my son, right? To have a relationship with someone different. And you realize that you must do that. We so often say, oh, those people, and you don't really know them and you don't know their problems, or we have to get involved in the community. We should care about each other. We should know each other, take a moment to know each other. And it's been really eye-opening to listen to Antoine and to support him. And his growth has been tremendous in 11 years. It's unbelievable. He's really a corporate gentleman, and I'm super proud of him. And his gift for speaking is like none I've ever seen before. And to have been able to speak to him really openly and listen and say, you know, have you ever thought that that's not everyone's experience? He says it, oh, I knew everybody. Lots of people had the same story as me, but I'm like, no. And to allow him the chance to express sadness about things that happened, because I don't think he ever allowed himself to have that moment to heal for, you know, for the things he went through himself. So there's so much to give, and when you do that, you get, you know, twofold back. So I'm grateful for the work. It's been an honor to work with Antoine all these years, and we'll see where it goes. Got a lot more to do.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you, Justin. And I'm
Yeah.
so happy to see you and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Really proud of you and appreciate you having us on the show.
Yeah, maybe we'll come over to Crossover one day and just get some shots inside and stuff and
We'd love that.
show everyone what it looks like and what you guys actually do.
Maybe you can have the two founding sons talk.
Yeah. Yeah,
They're funny. They're really funny
Yeah.
together.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah, they're funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to arrange something like that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much. Seriously. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to, you know, just like continuously connecting with you guys and helping out in any way that me and my team can. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Sounds good.
Looking
Thank
forward
you
to
guys
it.
so much.
Thank you.